Welcome to Joyful Jen Yoga. Today's practice is a gentle yoga practice focusing on the Ajna Chakra, so the area around your third eye. Many people who've practiced yoga or even who are just kind of aware of yoga and pop culture have an understanding of where the third eye center is, right? And we talk a lot about bringing awareness to your third eye, holding visuals behind your third eye. This area is a focus for a lot of people. It's a space we focus on a lot in meditation. And part of the reason for that is this is an area where we're tapping in to our own intuition. So our feeling of what is without using our mind, without overthinking, thinking, analyzing. It's kind of that space where our gut, our mind, and our heart tell us what is instead of that kind of over analytical place. So during practice, I would love for you to tap into that. From a physical standpoint, we certainly will try to bring awareness to our third eye center, but also the area around our eyes, so that we can see more clearly, right? So that we can quiet our thoughts, so that we can tap better in to our intuition instead of kind of be distracted by all of the sensory experiences around us that sometimes cloud our intuitive judgment. So that was a lot to say. Just move, do what makes sense, ignore what doesn't. I have with me today a blanket and 2 blocks. I'll tell you that I have cork blocks. They're kind of hard. I might place a blanket on top of my cork blocks for some things, just to soften them a little bit. So if you have the foam blocks, you might be a little happier with that. If not, you might pad up your cork blocks. So don't worry about that yet. We'll start in a seated position. You can cross your legs in whatever way feels good. You can bring your palms to your lap, palms face up or down. You could take a mudra of your choice if that works for you. And as we settle ourselves into a space that feels tall, lengthening up through the crown of your head, softening your gaze or letting your eyes close completely down, let's start to tap into that space between our eyebrows, our space of vision, of seeing clearly, of intuition. When you bring your focus to that space, what do you see? Can you relax the muscles around your eyes? Notice if you hold tension. A lot of us, myself very much included, spend a lot of time furrowing our brow, right? Can you relax that space in between your eyebrows? Be soft. Soften the skin of your forehead. Soften the skin around the outer edges of your eyes. Soften around your temples. Letting your breath flow smoothly and steadily in and out through your nose. Soft jaw, soft shoulders, soft top of your chest, soft abdomen, soft through your hips. Allow everything from your belly button down to grow really heavy. Allow your heart to lift just slightly. Allow that space around your throat chakra, your Vishuddha chakra, to be a little bit more open. Freedom of energy from your gut to your heart, through your throat, all the way up to that space right in between your eyebrows. Focus on that third eye center. Notice if you see any colors or shapes or images behind your closed eyes. And we'll take another breath here. And then inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Let your palms come to touch and then slide your thumbs right to that space between your eyebrows. Let your thumbnails rest on that third eye space. Take a pause here. Listen in. What comes up? Is there an intention that you'd like to set for your practice? Could it be something along the lines of, I will quiet my mind enough to hear and focus on my intuition? Releasing hands down, letting your eyes flutter open a moment. We'll take our gaze in a varying degree of different spaces. And if you've never done any eye exercises, you might find that it's a little odd. So just kind of take it, at your own pace, do what feels right. If you've been sitting cross-legged, go ahead and just switch the cross of your ankles so that we're evening out our hips a little bit here. So for our purposes during this part of practice, see if you can keep your chin parallel to the earth below you. And we'll start, our chin, our face, everything is facing forward and level. And all we'll do right now is move our gaze to the right. And I'll mirror you here, although I don't think you'll be able to see what my eyes are doing from this far away. And then look back center. And then take your gaze over to the left without moving anything. Chin is level and your gaze is to the left but at the horizon. Back to center, kind of gaze out at the horizon. We'll do it again. Look over to the right. You're still level, you're just moving your gaze to the right. Come back to center. And again, look over to the left. And come to center. I notice immediately I don't do enough eye exercises, how quickly the muscles of my eyes fatigue. So keep your chin parallel again, level, and then we'll just gaze down, but without moving the chin at all. Gaze toward the ground, gaze straight ahead, and then gaze up to the sky. And then center, again, gaze down to the ground, through center, and up toward the sky. And center. Now we're going to move across the diagonal for this one. So we'll go right low diagonal, left high diagonal, and then we'll switch, okay? So when I say right, we're going to kind of look at the bottom diagonal. And when I say left, we're going to go up to the top diagonal, okay? So we'll look to the right low diagonal, and then left upper diagonal, and center, right lower diagonal, center, left upper diagonal, center. All right, we'll switch. Left low diagonal, right upper diagonal, okay? Start to look left, and then up to the right diagonal, center, left low diagonal, center, right upper diagonal, and center. All right, give your shoulders a shake. You can blink your eyes a few times and let that go for now. We'll do a couple more as we move through practice, kind of moving, shifting our eyes. So if you're feeling anything right now, like I always feel the muscles of my eyes fatigue when I do exercises with my eyes. Notice if that's true for you. It's normal. So we'll start on all fours here. If you'd like to pad up your knees, go for it. We're going to take, to start, our forehead to the ground. So let your knees go wide in child's pose and kind of wiggle and shift your hips until you can comfortably rest your forehead on the earth. Now, if this is not comfortable for you, pad yourself up. Your forehead could be on a block. And we'll start by walking our arms forward and just resting. Breathing here. Let your hips melt down. Let your belly be soft still. Let your jaw be soft. Feel your forehead and that third eye space pressing toward the earth. And take another inhale here. And then on exhale, we'll slowly start to slide one hand and then the other underneath our body. And if you can, hold on to your heels here. And then again, forehead's just resting on the ground. Now we're in that internal rotation with our shoulders, that feeling of drawing inward. Whenever we come to that forward folding shape, it's that sensation of bringing our awareness, our energy, our focus within. Take these shapes to allow yourself to quiet the outside world so you can bring your awareness closer and closer to your own truth. Take another inhale. And exhale, we'll gently release our arms back out in front of us. And come up to tented fingertips. You're lifting your head slightly off the ground here. Take an inhale. And on exhale, walk your hands over to the left. You can take your right hand on top of your left and kind of pull back on your fingers if you'd like. The head may or may not touch the ground. If you can take your forehead down, please do. If not, don't worry, it can float there. Inhale, lift up. We'll crawl our fingertips back through to center and then exhale over to the right. Left hand on top of the right this time. Again, if there's space, forehead can touch down, but it's not important. Gently walk back through to center and lift up to all fours. So we'll do a little game here where we're matching the movement of our spine with the movement of our gaze. So hands down, fingertips spread. And then as we inhale, we'll pull our heart forward, arch our back, look up, and then really try as you lift your chin to look toward the sky. And then on exhale, starting with the tailbone, it starts to tuck. We start to find flexion in our spine as we draw our chin towards our chest. Look towards your navel. Twice more like that. Inhale, arching your back, heart pulling forward. Chin lifts slowly, gaze lifts up to the sky. Exhale, tail drops. Belly lifts, back of the heart lifts. Chin tucks, gaze toward the navel. Last time like that. Inhale, start to open front body, chin lifts, gaze lifts. Exhale, tuck, round, and look toward the navel. Inhale, center, pause. We'll do that same movement except instead of going back and forth with spinal flexion and extension, we'll move in a side-to-side C-shaped curve. So inhale will still be at center. Inhale here, and on exhale, look over your left shoulder and see if you can stretch your side gaze all the way toward your left heel. Inhale, center. Exhale, look over right shoulder. You're coming into that C-shaped curve with your spine, and then keep looking to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Focus on your gaze as you exhale right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Beautiful. Come to center, and then we'll take our block. Now I'm going to slide the blanket out from underneath my knees and actually place it on my block here. And you can come back to kind of a kneeling position or whatever works for you. Your knees can be as close or far apart as you'd like, and we'll come into kind of a semi-child's pose. What I want you to feel is kind of the bridge of your nose, that arch of your eyebrow is going to rest on the edge of the block, as long as that doesn't bother you, right? We'll come down and make sure it feels okay, and we'll just rock that third eye space, like giving it a little massage on the edge of the block. This is also really good if you have anything going on with your sinuses. This can really feel like a nice relief. So you let your forehead kind of rest on the block, arms wherever is comfortable enough to support you here, and just start to roll gently side to side. This is one of my favorite practices, especially in the summer or spring when I start to feel like I have like some allergies going on. This is a nice way to relieve that. It's also great if you been working on the computer, your eyes are feeling tired, you feel like you've been furrowing your brow a lot, you've been thinking a lot. It's a nice way to kind of massage out that area. Obviously, you can lift your block to whatever height makes sense for you. So if this deep knee or hip flexion isn't working, you can lift the block a little higher so you can take the bend out of your knees and hips a little bit. And we move slowly and mindfully, and only as much as feels good on the neck. And we'll take about 5 more steady breaths here. And let your breath move in and out of your nose, steady and calm. One more full breath. Good. And then pause. We'll slide the blanket, if you had it, over your block and place it back underneath your knees if that makes sense to your body. And we'll take the next 10 breaths to move with your intuition. So we'll come to all fours. If your intuition says cat-cows works, go for it. If your intuition says, I really want to move in a more fluid way, you might start to circle your hips a little side to side. You might start to move kind of in some not really formal way, right? I like to sometimes shift from a child's pose into kind of a odd cobra shape. Take the next, let's call it 7 or so breaths now to move in the way that your body, your intuition is calling you to move. Keep focused on your breath. Notice if your mind is starting to say, oh, but you always do this, or no, you need to do this. See if instead you can just tap into what your body is asking for here. Take another inhale and exhale. Return back to center. Walk your hands up so you're in a tall kneel now. And then we'll take our hands to our hips and step the right foot forward, coming into a low lunge shape. You could slide your hands to your quad and just kind of encourage your hips to draw forward without sinking forward, right? There's an activity here in your hips. And all we'll do here with a little lift of the navel is start to look over our right shoulder, and when your chin has turned as far as it feels comfortable, see if you can gaze even further with your eyes. And then come back to center. We'll try that twice more. So we're twisting from our torso a little, we're turning our chin, and then we're seeing if we can look even farther back behind us with our gaze. And come back to center one more time like that. Start to look to the right, and then see if you can look a little farther with your gaze. And come back to center. Awesome. Hands can come onto blocks here. We'll straighten out that right leg. Toes pull into the shin. Inhale, lift your heart, and then on exhale, fold over that right leg, opening up through calf, back of the knee, hamstring. Inhale, lengthen. Slide your left hand and the block, if you'd like, over to the left a little. Reach your right arm up to the sky. Keep that right leg straight. Drop your right hip toward the right and down slightly. And then look up towards your right thumb if that feels safe on your neck. Release your right hand down. Re-bend into your right knee. Come back up into a lunge. Hands can be on your thigh. Choose to have that left knee down, or if you'd like, You could tuck the back toes, lift the back knee so you're in a crescent lunge, and we'll take our hands to prayer and just rest your thumbs at your third eye center. You might start to tilt your gaze up. Your elbows could draw forward. Remember, this could be done on your left knee down or on the ball of your left foot, depending on what feels good. We'll take another breath in and out. Gently release hands down. Straighten out the right leg, land the left heel, and we'll come into a pyramid shape. Take an inhale, and then exhale, fold over that right leg. Let your eyes close here if that makes sense. Take another breath in and out. Soften that right knee. Lower your left knee down to the ground. Pull your right knee back in and underneath you. We'll take 5 breaths again of that kind of freedom movement. So you're on all fours. You could take your cat-cows, could shimmy and shake. Do what makes sense in your body. It doesn't have to be a real shape. You're moving with how your body is in this moment, what it's asking for right now. And then gently come back up to that tall kneeling position. And when you find that tall kneel, we'll take our hands to hips and then work that left foot forward so we're in that low lunge. Hands can come onto that left thigh. And again, we're not sinking our hips like completely just dropped. There's just an energy drawing the hips forward, but our low belly is lifted up slightly. From this space, start to turn your chin to the left and then look even farther back with your gaze. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn that left chin, or chin to the left rather. Look to the left. And center last time. Chin moves left. Gaze moves even farther left. And come back to center. Slide your hands now down onto the blocks. Straighten out that left leg, left toes pulled into your shin. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, soften over that straight left leg. Notice your breath here. Notice how your body feels, what you might feel like you need. And then lift up slightly. Walk your right hand, maybe on the block, over to the right. Reach your left arm up. We'll twist and open to the left. Can you look at your left thumb? Be sure that all feels okay on your neck. Full inhale. Exhale, left hand lowers down. Soften into that left knee. So remember options here. That right knee could stay down, or we could tuck the right toes, lifting the right knee. So crescent lunge or knee down like an Anjaneyasana. And as you lift up, we'll take our hands to prayer. Thumbs will come to that third eye space. Elbows can draw slightly forward. There's a little heart opening here as you gaze up. Find your focus on that third eye space. Quiet the mind. Listen within. Full inhale. And exhale. Hands come down. Straighten out that left leg. You could walk the right foot in a little bit, coming into our pyramid shape. Take an inhale, and then exhale, soften. Keep pulling that left hip back, right hip forward. Take another breath in and out. Soften that left knee. We'll lower the right knee down. Left knee will come back behind you, and then find one of your blocks. Slide it off to the top of the mat and take the other block on the highest height. Again, if you have a cork block and it's really hard, you might take a blanket on top of it. We'll take our hands on either side of the block. Start to tuck your toes, lift your hips, coming into a down dog. Walk your hands as far forward, your feet as far back as it takes to rest your forehead on the block. There can be a nice bend in your knees. Your feet can be as wide as your mat. Your hands can be as wide as your mat. Start to feel what it feels like to let there be weight right in that third eye space on the block. Try not to lose the connection to your core, the connection to your shoulders. Remember, your knees are as soft as they need to be. Take another inhale. And exhale. Slowly walk your feet towards your hands. And then we'll slide our little block situation kind of to the middle of the mat. We'll walk our feet wide into Prasarita Padottanasana. We'll take our forehead now down to the block. And depending on how wide your feet are, you might have to adjust the block. So we're going to take the block again underneath our forehead. Hands can be underneath shoulders. They could be onto your feet. Try to have a little bit more weight drawing forward if you can instead of backward. And again, you might have to adjust the height of the block, so it's just right for you. If there's a different hand position you'd prefer, take that. Three more breaths here. If your head comfortably touches the ground, that's fine too, but do what makes sense. And you might find as you kind of hang out here, you lower the block a little bit. And slowly begin to lift your head. We'll heel to our feet in close enough that we can lower one shin down and then the other coming back down onto our bum. So you might have your blanket here. You can take it underneath our sits bones for a little bit of lift in the pelvis. Might have one of your blocks nearby. We're going to come into Janu Sirsasana, so head to knee pose. And we'll start with our right leg straight, our left leg bent, left foot in our right thigh. Again, you might use a block or a bolster here to the inside or outside of the right knee, whatever feels more comfortable to you. And then we'll take a lift here through our hearts. Really try to keep your pelvis heavy and neutral. And then we'll walk our hands forward. Now, you might take a block, rest your forehead there on the block. If it's possible in your body to take your forehead to your knee without compromising your posture, you can certainly do that. So you might have three blocks here. You might have one, two, you might have a bolster, but try to let your forehead rest on something. We'll be here for about 10 breaths. For our purposes here, there's still energy in that right leg. The right toes can be pulling into the shin. Breath is full and even. We're breathing into the back body as much as we're breathing into the front body. Letting every inhale balloon your torso with breath. Every exhale, letting it all out. Allow for another deep breath in and out. Gently begin to use your hands to lift back up. We'll lift our left knee up, extend that leg out, and then bend into your right knee, right foot, inner left thigh, and then finding what works on this side. First find length, root down through sits bones, and then gently walk it forward. So as we come into these longer holds, notice, and you might notice too that one side needs something different than the other. Notice if your quiet breath, your still body, helps to quiet your mind. When you tap into that space, what can you learn about yourself? When you quiet the outside world, what do you hear? Take another steady breath in and out. And then gently begin to walk your hands back up again. Help that right knee to point up to the sky. Send both legs long, give your knees a little wiggle. And then we'll bend our knees, walk your feet as wide as the mat, and just let your knees knock a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. A little release through your hips, through your low back. And then find your way back to a comfortable seat. Notice how your body feels here. Notice if your spine feels strong and steady, if your breath feels free and fluid. And then options here. If you'd like, you can stay seated in meditation, or if you have a wall or any piece of furniture, a bed, a couch, anything nearby that you can rest your legs up on, we'll come into a little inversion. So again, if you'd feel more comfortable staying in seated meditation, please honor that. But if you'd like an inversion, that's a really nice way to kind of shift our perspective, bring our awareness a little bit more into that intuitive space. So this also happens to be my favorite shape in the world. So if you'd like, I like to take a blanket or a bolster right up against the wall and then shimmy hips against the wall, and then it's real graceful. You just kind of roll onto your back, send your legs up the wall, and then give yourself a little adjustment. If you have a sandbag, you could always put it under or on top of your feet to give you a little grounding here. If you have a knot tied in your shirt, you might unknot it because that's uncomfortable. Give yourself a little wiggle. Option to be as you are, soft feet, soft legs, or take your hands to prayer and rest your thumbs on your third eye. So kind of that position we were in when we were in our lunge. And this is our final shape. So we're seated in meditation. We're in this legs up the wall position. Taking time to recenter, to quiet, to drop in even deeper, to pause and listen, not to what's going on outside of us, but instead to hone in to the information we can learn within ourselves, within our body. Tap into your intuition. Soft breath, soft jaw, soft space between your eyebrows. As always, feel free to stay where you are and stay as long as you can. But if you need to move on with your day, we'll start to bring feeling into our feet with a wiggle of our toes, a circle of our ankles. You can stretch your arms overhead if that feels comfortable. Wherever you are, let's all take a big breath in through our nose. And out the mouth. Hug the knees in, or if you're seated, fold forward. Take a moment to deeply appreciate all that your body does for you. Roll to your favorite side. And then slowly use your hands. Press your way up to seat, or come back to sitting up tall. And when you arrive seated, find your sits bones root down. Sweep your arms up overhead again. Exhale, hands to heart. Bow your forehead to your fingertips in gratitude. I wish you all abundant joy. Be well.